We.
Io sono.
We are.
We are.
I am World League Wrestling.
Hello and welcome everyone. It's World League Wrestling Amplify, our very first podcast for World League Wrestling. How about that? I'm CT Harrison.
I'm Martin Kadish.
Yeah, along with me, senior referee at World League Wrestling, Martin. He hates it when I say senior referee.
We're pretty much all the same, you know.
Hey, just to kick this off, I want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors because without our sponsors, this isn't possible. This is being brought to you generously with Jim Chineri Automotive Group, which is Jim Chineri Ford in Moscow Mills, and Jim Chineri Chevrolet in Troy, Missouri, Impact Digital Designs, Traveling East Productions, as well as a $20 bill I found in my laundry hamper.
That was a good find right there, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So, that being said, this is going to be a fun show. This is our very first episode of Amplify. We will be doing this each and every week on Sunday at 4 o'clock p.m. Central, being broadcast live on Facebook, as well as on our YouTube channel.
And really, we just hope everybody listens in and has a good time with us. We're going to talk to some great wrestling people. We're going to talk about World League Wrestling. Maybe talk about Harley Race a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, we will. We absolutely will. But we don't want to focus so much on the past because it's World League Wrestling's future that we're focused on, and that's where we're going to be with that. But today's show is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it will.
Today's show is a very special episode. On the show here in just a few minutes, we're going to bring on, I guess, the longest general manager of Smackdown.
That's right.
Theodore Teddy Long.
And of course, I have to say, an accomplished referee, too.
You know, we're going to talk about that because that's one of the things we're going to discuss is his journey in wrestling to where he's at now. And we'll probably discuss, a few things like, the current state and things like that. How we're doing with COVID-19, how everything's playing in, when we're going to get back to work again. Live shows. When's that going to happen?
Well, now they're starting to let 25% shows start where you could be 25% of your capacity in places, and who knows how that'll work out. We'll see.
But World League Wrestling is more, we're more worried about the safety of our fans as well as our athletes. And
exactly.
So, we'll get into that later. We don't have a specific date, but, we'll talk about that a little bit later on as well. Boy. When you talk about World League Wrestling, first of all, everybody knows this company was built by Harley Race. It was our very first, it's been here in Missouri. Started off, I believe, in Eldon,
Missouri.
Where did you join?
I joined here in Troy.
Right after they moved here?
Exactly. Like the first walk through of the building, the first meet and greet they did, I was there with my family, and, they had a little sheet to sign up if you wanted to help out, and that's how I got started. The first thing they did was come to Troy and reach out to the people in Troy,
mm-hmm.
And kind of get involved in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So they, for 5-6 years now, it's been a sturdy rock in the community.
Excellent. You actually started training. You wanted to be a wrestler at first, right?
No.
You specifically went to
right
to be a referee.
Right. I like the idea of the referee is you kind of get to stand back and watch most of the action. It's not very often that the action gets to you,
mm-hmm.
but when it does, it's usually in a pretty fast and abrupt way.
Right. I started off completely as a fan, of course. Became a sponsor, and then went into co-produce World League Wrestling Television, as well as other videos and things, and then journeyed into commentary, so that I do with Art Scott. So interesting, but at the end of the day, the specific thing that for me is at the end of the day, above everything, I am a fan of wrestling. Period.
Yeah,
So-
I don't think you can be as involved in the business as you are or I am or the wrestlers themselves without first being a fan. It's fans are the lifeblood of pro wrestling. So, everything revolves around the fans in pro wrestling. And World League Wrestling's got some of the best fans in the world as far as I can tell.
Absolutely. Our fans do a lot. And I'm going to get into that later because I'm going to tell a Teddy Long story.
Uh-oh.
But I'm going to wait for Teddy to tell it because I want him to laugh. Because he'll remember. I'm sure he will. But I tell you what, why don't we go ahead and call Teddy?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's see what's going on, huh? All right. I got his number right here. Hang on. Let's get. I'm getting there. All right. Dialing it up. Let's see.
But yeah, I expect this show to be really exciting. Teddy Long's just a legendary character in pro wrestling. He's been everywhere. He's done everything in wrestling. I'm sure he can impart a lot of knowledge to the fans and to younger wrestlers and referees like myself and people who want to be managers.
Here we go.
It should be great.
You have reached Teddy Long at teddylong.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at TeddyPlayerLong, on Instagram, Teddy Long Wrestling. Can't talk to you right now, player. Holla back.
He can't talk to us right now, playa. Holla back, he says. Okay.
I guess we're going to have to try again a little bit later.
Okay, then.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Teddy, it's CT and Martin over at WLW Amplify. You've got the number. Call us. That'll work. All right. That being said, what's your earliest memory of World League Wrestling?
My earliest memory of World League Wrestling has to be the first show they had here in Troy. Like, I wasn't involved or really even knew about it until it came to the town that I moved to. I was kind of lucky in that I found it by happenstance right in my hometown. The first things I can remember is the Black Hand Warriors fighting the Gold Exchange.
Okay.
Air Raid, who used to be a great character. You never know when you're going to see him crop up in the ring, but he's always fun to watch. Names like, Leland Race, of course, was there, and you had Trevor Murdoch coming through and wrestling on occasion, and Ace Steel. And there we go.
Hey, there we go. Now we have a Teddy. Holla, holla. Hello. We lost him.
There's always little trips and jumps in the first try.
Holla, holla.
Hey, what's going on, player?
How are you, Teddy?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Oh, we're doing wonderful. We're the weather's been nice. Little windy, but it's a beautiful day out there. How is it where you're at?
It's a beautiful day today, too. It's about 85 degrees here, so it's pretty hot. I've been out walking this morning, so it's pretty hot out there.
Oh, that's good. You walk all the time?
Yeah, I go to the gym. When they were open, I'm in the gym like 6 days out of the week, and the reason I'm walking because my gym is closed, so I don't want to stop. Once you get keep going, you got to keep on going. You can't stop, so I ain't gonna let nothing stop me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we want to go back and talk about a few things. The last time we got to see you was right after Harley passed. You came to Troy to be with us at one of our shows at World League Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, you were our guest general manager that night.
Yeah, well, I was, really happy that you guys gave me the opportunity to come and, and be a part of your organization. I just always, admired Harley. When I first broke into the wrestling business, Harley was one of the guys that really came to me and helped me and kind of, watched out for me, kind of had my back. And so I really love Harley. And like I said, I was just glad that I had a chance to go to the hospital and see him before he did pass. And like I told Jason, whatever, he needs me, anytime or whatever, I'll be happy to come and work with you guys and do whatever I have to do to help you make your company work.
Oh, we appreciate that a lot. I got to tell a Teddy Long story. I have a Teddy Long story.
Okay.
When you came down here, we were always taught at World League Wrestling, when somebody like you comes to visit, you pay respect. So everybody got up and they did what they do. They walked by, they introduced themselves, and they shook your hand and welcomed you to World League Wrestling. Now, we're all standing around, and I can remember Teddy turning to me and saying, "Hey, playa, was that barbecue out there they were having?" I said, "Well, yeah." We have some of the great, and this is where Martin and I were talking about some of our great fans just a few minutes ago, but a couple of our great fans, and I'll give a shout out to them. Big shout out to Sarge and a big shout out to Alex, who, when the weather's good, they always do a tailgate party a few hours before the shows. And they're always bringing food and everything. And on this particular night, I think they knew you were coming. So they had cooked up a bunch of barbecue and cobbler and all this stuff. So I'm like, "Yeah, Teddy." I said, let's go on out there. So we all go on out there. Teddy strolls on up out there, and he's standing around, and he goes, "All right, get a plate." So he goes up there, and he fixes him. Now, when I say Teddy Long fixed a plate, I mean Teddy Long fixed a plate of barbecue. He fixed a plate of barbecue. Sat down in a chair out there amongst all the fans and just had conversations with everybody out there like he belonged right there in that circle with all them, and they belonged with you. That's going to stand out to me with you, is how you interacted with the fans, and what a wonderful experience you gave to them.
Well, it's like you said, I sat down like I belong there, and I did belong there. I'm no better than those fans. I just have a job that had a job that required me to be on TV and get a little recognition. But at the end of the day, I'm a human being just like everybody else, and I'm just like those people those fans you had there. So I wouldn't have had it any other way, not to being able to sit down and eat that meal with them. I enjoyed them. They had a great time talking to me, and like I said, I've always known to do this. You're never better than anybody else, and I never let fame and fortune and all that stuff got in the way and made me feel now that I'm better than somebody. I never forget where I come from.
It's a great outlook.
Yeah, you sure did give a lot of the fans good Teddy Long stories that day, and you helped uplift a lot of people too, and that was really important because it was such a solemn occasion.
Well, I'm glad that I was able to do that. Anytime that I can, leave my presence, or either I can make somebody happy, then, that's good enough for me. God has blessed me to continue to be alive here and kind of keep on going. So, and in fact, I'm really glad now that I'm doing what I'm doing. I have the chance now to mingle with a lot of the fans, where a lot of people, that's the only time they saw me was just on TV. So now I can come out, I can mingle with you. I guess I don't know what it's going to continue like that with all this social distancing stuff that's going on now, and we just don't know really what's going to be happening with all this virus and stuff. But like I said, if I have to get out there with the mask and the gloves on to meet the fans, then that's what I'll do too.
Teddy Long said, and I quote, "That homemade peach cobbler was off the chain."
Yeah, and still talk, man. You can believe that.
Yeah, I hear you. So I want to go back, and I want to let's talk about how you got started in the business. Let's go all the way back. Tell us how you got started.
Well, I started hanging out it was NWA when I broke into the business in 1983, 84, somewhere around in there. And they used to tape the NWA Georgia Championship Wrestling here in Atlanta at the TBS studios. So me and my son, I used to take him down on Saturday mornings to watch the TV tapings. And one Saturday morning, I happened to run into a wrestler and he had just came to town and didn't know his way around. And, I guess just me, I just lucky to be there. And so he asked me to start showing him around. So I did that. And on every Saturday morning, he would come and get me before the TV started, so I could bring him, take him down to the TV station. And then after that, the taping was over. He had a lot of other errands that he wanted to run, but I was able, to show him how to get around. So to make a long story short, I started hanging out at the TBS studios, and I was in the back with all the boys. And so I just kind of made myself busy. I would run errands. I would clean up the studio. I would started going out to the ring, getting the wrestlers' gear when they take off their jackets and stuff. I would bring all that stuff back to the locker room, and they kind of liked me for that because that way, I was keeping up with their stuff. And I started doing that, and then a job came open where they needed somebody to put up the ring, take the ring down. So by me had been, being around and stuff, because back in the day, it's a lot different now than it was then. Like I said, that kayfabe back in the day meant something. Today, it doesn't mean anything. So, like I said, I was just lucky enough that they accepted me and they didn't mind me being back there. And so I got the job of putting up the ring, taking the ring down. And after I got that job, then one night I took the ring to the Marietta, Georgia, to the Cobb Civic Center, and the referee didn't show up. Oh. And the promoter came to me and told me that I had to referee that night. And so that night they sent out and got me a referee shirt. I put the shirt on, and I stepped in the ring. My first match was with Black Bart and Cowboy Ron Bass. And that's how I started refereeing that first night right there in Marietta, Georgia at the Cobb Civic Center.
Wow. Well, those are some names you haven't heard in a while. Ron Bass, I think he passed, God rest his soul, but I did have a chance to see Black Bart on last year at the WrestleCade in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He was one of the participants there, and I did get a chance to talk to Bart, and me and him went all the way back to that day, and it was just a great experience. We had a lot of fun and, talking about it. And then after, I started refereeing, then I started riding with Kevin Sullivan and Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, God rest his soul. And when I started riding with these guys, they was want to know what did I do before I, decided to try to get into the wrestling business. So I told them I was a disc jockey at a radio station, and I worked at WOKJ in Jackson, Mississippi, and I worked at a radio station in Birmingham, Alabama, which was my home at the time. And so I started, we'd going down the road, and we'd go get a case of beer, just before the ride. And we'd get to drinking beer and riding. And then I started turning the radio down and DJing for them. And they saw that. And these two guys, which I know had great minds for the wrestling business. And so they saw something in me that I didn't see. So they found out I could talk. And then they went in and talked to the booker and everybody about that. And that's how. Then they gave me a job, and that's how I started managing. I started managing wrestlers after they found out that I could talk. Aha! So your mouth got you into it.
Yeah, got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but I remember that someone making it as a manager. You're standing in front of a Rembrandt. And the Rembrandt can't tell you why it's great, but the art collector can, and that's what the manager is. He stands in front of the Rembrandt and tells you why the Rembrandt's the Rembrandt. Why it's such a great thing.
Right. Well, see, that's a thing I do too. I'm affiliated with a wrestling school here in Atlanta. It's called Face to Face. And, a lot of the students that come, everybody don't want to wrestle. There's some kids that we have there that want to be referees. And so I'm the guy that basically trains them. And there are a lot of guys there that want to be managers because whatever you want to do in the wrestling business, we'll teach you that. So I always let them know about a manager. A lot of them thought that the manager just walks out with the wrestler and comes to the ring and, just does his thing. And that's not how it works. The manager has a part to play. Everybody has a position to be in. So managers should understand, like you see a lot of them I see now, sometimes they moving around during the match. And that's really bad because you become a distraction when you're moving around. People didn't buy wrestling tickets to see the manager. They bought wrestling tickets to see the two guys in the ring. So I think, what we teach them is they have to know when to move, where to be at. And if they're in one, at one position down at that ring, then you stay there. don't move unless you have to move. So that way you're not being a distraction and you're not taking away from what's going on in the ring. But a lot of guys, we have to smarten them up because they go to thinking it's all about them. We don't care about the guy wrestling in the ring. I want the people to see me. And it doesn't work like that. You know, this is a business. This is about drawing money and making money. And this is everybody, when they walk out of that locker room, they should be, and they always should be on the same page. So everybody, there's no mistakes made. You know, everybody go out, have a great time, and have a great match.
Sounds like good advice to me. I like it as a fan. I like that because I don't want to be distracted. I tuned in to watch wrestling, not, you know. So.
Right. Well, that's true. And like I said, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that. You've seen some guys managing, just running from one end of the ring to the other. You know, and that ain't, you know, it doesn't work like that because you start moving and running around and people start looking at you trying to figure out, well, what's he going to do now? And then you may miss something that you should have seen in the ring. So, you know, it's like I said, this is a business and, you know, this is a game and you have to know how to play this game.
And do you think that might be something that's missing today in some of the managers today in professional wrestling?
Well, yeah, I think so because really there are not a whole lot of managers anymore in professional wrestling. You know, I mean, so I guess they kind of, you know, faded that out. You know, you don't have it much. But like I said, if guys, you know, we do have some indie shows that have it. I haven't seen much of it on TV except, you know, you got Heyman that's still around that's with Brock Lesnar, you know, but he's basically about the only guy that really is managing. And so, you know, we've seen him forever. So, you know, like I said, he knows the game. He knows how to play it. So I give this advice to the indie guys and the guys over in NXT or anywhere. If this is what you're going to do, if they decide they're going to bring this back one day, which they might, you never know. So it's best to learn everything. You know, I learned everything. I started, you know, refereeing, putting up the ring, taking the ring down. I learned that. Then I learned how to referee. Then I went to managing. Then I had a chance to get in the ring and learn how to wrestle a little bit because I had to start taking bumps when I was a heel manager. So I was able to learn everything. And so one time I was a color commentary. I was at the announce desk. And so I think that was God blessing me with a lot of talent. So, you know, if you don't make it in one position, then you're right there, you know, they move you into something else. So, you know, that's what I say, you know, learn everything that you can. Never stop learning. That's the key. You will learn something new every day.
Be a company guy and make yourself useful wherever they need you.
Exactly, and then and the other thing too, when you get yourself in that position, then the promoters know that they can trust you. You know, they don't mind putting you in another position because they know you're going to get there and you're going to give it 100%, just like you did everything else.
One of our fans on here wants to know what was the first team that you managed?
Well, the first team that I managed was Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. They were calling them the Ebony Express, I believe, and Nancy Benoit, Chris Benoit's wife, God rest her soul. And I had the chance to, you know, ride with her for a long time too when she was married to Kevin Sullivan. So she was a very close, good friend of mine. And so I managed, you know, Butch Reed and Ron, and I got them from her. She was managing them. They had the mask on. And so I took the mask off them, and that's when we changed the name to Doom. And a lot of the single guys that I started managing was Norman the Lunatic. He was another guy, one of the first guys I managed. I also had Sergeant Craig Pittman was another guy. I had Jumpin' Joey Max. I had the Ice Train. Jesus, man, I had a lot of people. Mark Merrow, which was Johnny B. Bad. I managed him for a while. So, and I had Sid Vicious, Dan Spivey, which were the Skyscrapers. So I had some great teams, and I had also some great single competitors.
So, what was it like working in the different territories back in those days?
Well, it was pretty, you know, a lot of hard work, you know, not as much hard work, you know, now, but back then, because back then, you know, there was a lot of driving, you know, the promoters, you know, if they were making money, they were keeping the money. They would just, you know, shedding out to the boys, whatever they wanted the boys to have. But you drove a lot, you know, wasn't no plane tickets. I remember driving 300 to 400 miles and stuff, you know, to town, you know, trying to make, you know, get to my job. And like I said, that hasn't really changed too much now, in the WWE. Those guys are still driving, where when they were active, right now stuff is kind of at a slowdown. But when those guys were on the road, and I was up there too in the WWE, I drove a lot. I remember driving 300 miles there too. And so it was a lot of driving. You didn't get a lot of rest, and your rest was really important. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I started, when I started going to the gym, I started managing Butch and Ron, and they stayed in the gym all the time, and I went with them. But I found out the gym was really great for me because it relieved a lot of stress. Because once I went to the gym that day, got a lot of stress off me because I done drove all night, 300 miles, went to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, back up at 11. So then you got to go to TV, and you got to be there at 1 or 2 o'clock, and you got to sit there till 8 o'clock to showtime, and then you got another 2 hours to stay while the show's going on. So that's a lot of stress. So the body needs, some rest, and you need to, have your mind function so you can be able to put up with that and be able to, do your job.
Did you know that Butch Reed was also a WLW heavyweight champion in the early days of WLW?
No, I did not know that.
Yep, sure was.
Well, very good for Butch. Great guy, man. I had a chance to get with him, I guess. Some months back last year, him and Ron, we got together and we did the Doom reunion in a couple of places, and I had a chance to see Butch. And so what a great guy. And so that's what we're trying to do, too, now this time, is get back out there because there are a lot of people that didn't get a chance to see Doom, Butch, and Ron, the original team. So, this year, 2020, I guess, soon as things get settled or whatever, we get back on the right track here, we're going to be out there, for the fans once again.
As a matter of fact, I can tell you, Butch Reed was our 16th heavyweight champion at World League Wrestling. He won it on March 31st in 2001, and I believe that was in Crocker, Missouri, from Luminous Warrior.
Well, like I said, that's brand new to me. I certainly didn't know that.
Absolutely.
Good for Butch Reed. You guys had a great champion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Both him and Ron Simmons both are just absolute icons in this business.
As one of the first legends other than Harley after I graduated from training that I went and talked to Ron Simmons about what I was doing as a referee in the ring. And he gave me some pretty good advice. It wasn't all stuff I wanted to hear, but everything he told me was things to improve my game. So I believe I did the same to Mr. Long when you were there, and you gave me some advice too.
Well, and that's the thing you got to understand too. Don't take it as if you don't want to hear it. You always want to hear it. It's going to be bad, but that don't let that stop you. You know what I mean? That's going to help you. So always want to hear it, whether it's bad, good, or whatever it is. Let's hear what it is. Because like I said, you take the bad and you make the good out of it. So if they told you something that was bad, then you fix it. And the next time they see it, you make sure that it's good. And that way, if you perfect your craft, then you don't have to worry about nothing, man. Everything goes so easy when you know what you're doing. It flows in there. And then you start smiling and you start having a good time. And that's what it should be. It should be fun at all times.
And probably never believe don't think that you know everything, because there's something always to learn. As long as you make if you fix one thing each time you have a match, imagine how good you'll be at the end of the year.
Exactly. And like you said, you don't think that you know everything, because you can always learn something. I've been in the wrestling business over 30-some years, and I think I was somewhere like a month ago, and I finally looked at something I saw, and I had never seen that. I learned something right then. So you never quit learning in this business. That's what you want to do. You always want to keep your ears and eyes open.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is if you're only hearing good job in your advice, when you ask somebody how you did, you should go find somebody who says something other than good job, or says, but maybe you could.
And then you should know yourself when you did good and when you did bad. So if somebody keeps telling you good job, you even know a spot that was in the ring that you messed up. So you already know right then that they're just blowing smoke up you. So get away from them. It's always somebody's going to tell you the truth. Because if a guy won't tell you the truth, then he's not helping you, and he ain't helping himself, and he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes complete sense.
Yep.
So from NWA, you worked with WCW, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you transitioned over into WWE.
Right.
So
I went there in 1998.
In 98. So what was that transition like?
Well, no, really easy for me, because I'd been around for a while. But I've learned when I did go to the WWE that I really learned more than I'd ever learned before, as long as I'd been in NWA and WCW. And I found out, it really, when I was coming in, it was kind of rough. Didn't nobody tell me nothing. They didn't want to teach me anything. And no, I didn't have nobody to walk up to me. I had people maybe like Harley, who would come up to me if I did something wrong. He would tell me, but he was one of the few people, Terry Funk was another good guy that came up and always tried and help me. And so, like I said, a lot of guys wouldn't tell you nothing. They didn't want you to learn. So, the transition was like, once I went through WCW, man, and NWA, once you go through that it was easy anywhere else. But the thing was, the people that asked me about it, how did I accept going into WWE as a referee, and I'd been in WCW, managed all these great teams, The Undertaker, Doom, and all those guys that I told you about, all these guys I managed, and then now I got the striped shirt on. Well, my thing is this, it ain't about what position you take, it's about, getting you a paycheck. So they offered me a paycheck to referee. If this is what you want me to do, fine. I ain't too good to referee, because I know that this business is a business. This ain't, you know what I mean? It ain't about, well, I'm stepping down the ladder. I got a job, and I'm getting a paycheck. I'll referee as long as they want me to. And, like I said, I went there with a great attitude, know how to handle myself, and Vince found out that I could talk and what I could do, and look what happened.
So when you went into WWE, you were a referee, correct?
Yes.
And then you went into management and then so on and so forth.
Right.
Very. And then you ended up, and here was probably, I'd like to know, you became, they made you general manager, Smackdown.
Right.
What was that like?
Well, that was a great experience, because here's the thing. I didn't even know I was going to be general manager until maybe 5 minutes before I walked out on TV. They never told me nothing. And so about 5 minutes, before TV came, they came and got me, and the writers came and got me and said, hey, you know what's happening tonight, right? I said, no, nobody told me nothing. And they said, well, Vince is going to come out and introduce you. You're going to be general manager SmackDown. Well, that kind of scared me a little bit, because right now I understand I'm going to take on a big responsibility. I mean a big responsibility to take over this man, to run this whole company. But, my thing then was said, well, here's the man that's finally going to give me the opportunity. So if he trusts me to go out and do this, then my job is to make this work and to make him happy. So that's all I ever cared about, is walking out on that TV, making Vince happy, and doing my job and not letting him down, because I wanted to show him how I appreciate what he done for me.
Well, they say pressure makes diamonds, and
and that's what you work with when you work with him. You work under pressure. And I'll tell you something, he never lets his guard down. He's always testing you. Because one night, and I thank God for this, I thank God for me having a good memory, because one night I went ready to walk out, and he called me, and he says, hey, what are you saying out there tonight? Well, now, Vince knows what I'm saying out there tonight, because everything is written, he approves it. So I get to repeat it all over to him, what I'm saying, and he says to me, he says, well, I don't think I want you to say that. So now I got about 2 minutes before I'm walking out. My music and stuff is about to play. Now he runs all this everything different to me all over. This is brand new stuff. So as I'm walking down, as I'm going out, now I'm smiling and waving at people, but I'm also trying to remember everything that this man just got through telling me. So my thing was, I was, like I said, I always had a good memory. So I walked out there, nailed it. I come back through there, and he looked at me and gave me the thumbs up, and I just kept right on walking. So I was able to make him happy.
Well, that's kind of what you got to do at the WWE, is make Vince happy. If you make Vince happy, then paycheck will keep coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of guys came and told me a lot of stuff that I did. You know, I wasn't back there to see him, but I remember when somebody come and told me one day, he said, "Man, you had Vince dying laughing," and he said that's something that he don't. It's really hard to make him laugh.
Really?
Yeah.
But they say that Vince has a heck of a sense of humor, but it's kind of a twisted sense of humor.
Well, Vince was a lot of people, they have bad things to say about Vince. There's nothing, the man never did nothing, to me wrong. The man, like I said, the man gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. But a lot of guys get in the wrestling business, they all right as long as they're getting a push, or as long as, they're on TV. And then once they don't get a push and something starts happening, then the man done did them wrong. Now the man don't like me. And then they go start playing the race card and all that. So, I don't understand that. Everybody's time is up. You can't be there forever. So, if you, like I tell people all the time, I was there 15 years. I had a great run. Who can I be mad with? So I've been there 15 years having a good time. Now, all of a sudden now, because I ain't there, I'm mad. Y'all did me wrong. That's stupid as hell, But you got some guys that'll, try and use that, talking about the man mistreated them or did something to him, and that's not how it is. Like I said, I don't know nothing about what Vince did bad to anybody else. All I'm saying is the man never did nothing wrong to me. He gave me an opportunity. He treated me like a human being. He gave me respect, and I always respected him. So I got nothing bad to say about Vince.
Well, as a fan, one of the greatest respects that I think Vince could pay to somebody is an induction into the Hall of Fame.
And that was another thing. Was a surprise to me. I never dreamed that I would be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, once I left, I was ready to retire. I'm at home. I'm back at home. I got some rest. Now I kind of know what it feels like to be off the road. I'm happy. And they called me one day with that. That was a shock to me because I never thought. It wasn't a thing where they put managers in the Hall of Fame or guys like me. They saved that for wrestlers, guys that took bumps. And gave their careers to this business. So to be able to join that Hall of Fame was a big surprise, and that was a big honor for me. And once again, I thank the WWE and the McMahon family for that.
But I think that was probably more about your contribution to WWE.
Right. It was a well-deserved induction.
Absolutely.
Well, I was always loyal. Vince never have to worry about me. Anything that I was asked to do on TV, I did it. It didn't bother me because I learned one thing: this is not real. It's just that simple. But some guys take this thing like it's real, and they go back. Well, I can't do that. What if I go back home and all that? My buddy's gonna be making fun of me. Your buddies are not paying you. You're not getting a check. Yeah.
Makes complete sense.
I've seen that happen. I've been right there, and they've asked people to do stuff, and they're like, "Oh no, I can't do that, man. I can't do that." What do you mean you can't do it? It's a movie. It ain't real.
So you get to stand up in front of all your peers, in front of tons of fans at the Hall of Fame, and say your words to the WWE universe. What was that like to stand up there in front of everybody to accept that?
Well, that was like the highlight of my life. I was able to and what really was good about it, I had my wife, my son was there, to witness that, and that was really what was more important to me because, with my son, he was one of the guys that helped me put up the ring, take the ring down. One time he was like 6 years old, and I didn't have nobody to help me with the ring, and I had to take my son with me, and all that ring stuff was so heavy. So every time he would pick up something and we try to walk with it, we couldn't get too far. And I worked him so hard that he was crying real tears, because he just couldn't lift anymore. But I knew that I had to get that ring up because TV was the next morning. And I know I'm working for Jim Crockett, and they had already made it clear, we don't play about this ring, get this ring up. And so I wanted to, keep my job too. So my son and me and him, it took us about 7 hours to get that ring up, but we did that. But I mentioned that, and I looked over at him and looked at my wife, people that had been with me through this whole struggle, and I made it, and they had a chance to see me make it, and all the people, in the WWE universe, all the people, the fans that got behind me and, cheered for me, booed me when I was a bad guy, and some of them booed me when I was a good guy. But like I said, I was just able to give back to the fans and give back to my family. That was great for me.
I think now, how you feel about taking some questions from some of the fans?
Oh, no problem, man.
All right. Then if you are, as you're watching the live, type in there in the comment section. Let us know what you want to ask Teddy, and I will get to it. The first one right here is from Sarge, and he wants to know which WLW superstar stood out the most to you.
Tootie Ramsey.
Tootie Ramsey.
That's WLW women's wrestler. She wrestles here in the St. Louis area and around the country. Yeah, she's an up and comer, real good wrestler. I like her a lot too.
Yeah, I remember her. You know, she came up to me, you know, before she went out to wrestle that night and talked to me a little bit, and I gave her a little bit of advice. And then her and the girl went out, and they did an outstanding job. And she come back, and she thought she had screwed up somewhere, some kind of way. Mm-hmm. And I told her, no, it was perfect. But, you know, and she almost came to a tear, you know what I mean, by me congratulating her on the stuff that she done. But she showed me that she was eager and she wanted it. And anytime you want it, you're going to get it. And that's what I've seen in her. And so, you know, congratulations to her, and I hope her a lot of success, and I hope she makes it.
And I think I said WLW, but what I meant to say was which WCW wrestler stood out to you?
Oh, man, I don't know. You know, there was so many great guys there. A lot of talent was there in WCW. You know what I mean? I think basically is I just, man, I don't know. There's just so many people there that were great. Mark Merrow, another guy that I managed one time, Johnny B. Bad, you know, he really stood out because of that gimmick that he had. It was brand new, and it was kind of like a gauge type guy, you know, and back then, you know, you had to watch what you put on TV. You had to be real careful. But, you know, me and him was able to go out and pull that off. So he kind of stood out to me. And another guy, too, that was there, Sergeant Craig Pittman. I had him. You know, I thought he was going to go places. But also, don't let me forget about hard work Bobby Walker. A lot of people might not remember him, but he was one of the guys back in the day that I had a chance to manage. He really was a great athlete, and I saw him going to the top. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, something happened with him, and so he never did make it. But Bobby Walker was another kid that stood out to me. And Craig Pittman, another guy, Ice Train, you know, another guy that I thought was going to be real great there. And like I said, there was a lot of guys there, man, that did a lot, and I thought they had a lot of great talent.
What Edward wants to know, how did you get involved in wrestling? Like, what drew you to wrestling? Why did you go to the NWA in the first place?
What drew me to wrestling is like I was explaining to you at first. Me and my son used to go down and watch the TV tapings. We used to watch them tape it, you know, on Saturday mornings, you know, and the show, you know, the show that came on TV on Saturday nights, we would go down Saturday morning and watch them tape that. Well, like I said, I was sitting in the audience, like, you know, as a regular fan, you know, with my kid. And so I was, you know, like able to meet the wrestler that got me involved. I would start showing him around, which means I got out of being a fan and I started hanging around in the back, you know, and doing stuff back there. So that's kind of what drew me to wrestling. Is once I started getting back there and started getting jackets and stuff and kind of started hanging around and seeing, you know, how this thing works, then I'm like, okay, well, hey, I think I want to do this.
What's your most memorable moment thus far in your career? The most memorable moment out of all of them?
The night I walked out as general manager of SmackDown.
Really?
Yes, that was it.
Oh, be darned.
Because right now, you know, I don't have to worry about nobody but me. I'm on my own, so I gotta make this work. And so that was just, you know, and like I said, it was such a shock to me because that was something else that I thought would never happen. I never dreamed that I'd be running that man's company.
And one more question that had come to me, and I don't remember who asked me. They asked me the other day, where did that dance come from?
That dance came from my grandson.
Your grandson?
His name is Khalil. I'll tell you how that happened. Khalil was, we were trying to learn Khalil how to walk. So after, you know, we went and bought this little thing. It's kind of like a walker. So we put him in this walker, you know, so he could, you know, start learning how to walk when he was a baby. Well, every time Khalil would get in that walker, he would just start jumping up and down with both his hands out, you know, like that dance, like weight, you know, jumping up and down, got both his hands out. So one day I told him, I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to do that on TV. I'm going to do your dance. So I just took it to TV, but Khalil, it was an inside joke. I never even thought about keep dancing on TV. I did it on TV, and then I got back home. I said, Khalil, look, I did your dance. And the next thing I know, I went up and I was in the gorilla position one day and getting ready to go out. As Vince looks over at me and he yells at me, he says, God damn it, do that dance. And that's how it started.
Oh, wow.
Hey, typical of an inside joke. Everybody wants in.
Everybody wants it. Yeah.
And Vince must have liked it, because when we went to the Hall of Fame and we were doing the rehearsal at Hall of Fame, they played the music. I come out with the dance, and Vince was dancing. He was dancing with me.
Oh, that's great.
Well, I was dancing
in
in
a... out there too. You even made Leland dance too. You made him dance at WLW.
Good for Leland. I got to put a little soul in him.
So what's Teddy doing nowadays? What's on Teddy's plate now?
Well, like I said, I'm affiliated here in Georgia, Atlanta, with a wrestling school called Face to Face, and I'm doing that, trying to give back all my knowledge that I can to the young kids, and I'm trying to help them, make it if they can. Also, we got to hook up with WWE, and when they come to town, I can take some of my students down, and they can look at them, and they can do tryouts, and see if they're going to make it or not. And I did have a couple of my students to make it. One of them was on the 205 Live, and they used a lot of them on the TV, on the Raw and Smackdown show. So I'm doing that, and plus I'm still doing, my appearances. I'm doing the Comic Cons. I'm doing the indie shows, a lot of them. I'm in talks with some people out in Dallas right now about doing some TV there, and so that's, that's going to be coming out in a little bit. I don't want to talk too much about it until, we get it off the ground.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you figure it out, when you find out, let us know, and we'll get you on again so you can announce it.
Okay, yeah. Well, when I find out about that, I'll definitely let you guys know about that. And like I said, I'm staying healthy. I've stayed, the gyms are closed, but like I told you from the beginning, I'm walking the track like 4 days out of the week, and I do like an hour and a half walking so I can keep myself busy, because I can't stop. I'm a gym rat. And other than that, man, I'm just enjoying my grandkids and hanging around the house with the wife and doing my little stuff around here and just having a great time and trying to enjoy the rest of my life.
All right. Lastly, any social media plugs you want to put out there for yourself or what you're doing?
Well, no, I'm, they can hit me up on Facebook. I'm on Facebook and Twitter. My Twitter is at TeddyPlayerLong, and the Facebook is TeddyLongWrestling.com. And so if you want to hit me up right there, that's how you can get in contact with me.
Fantastic. Teddy, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's been great talking to you again, sir.
Hey, I want to thank you guys for having me, and I want to give a big shout-out to Tony Hunter and David Isley. Tony Hunter is one of the world's greatest promoters over there in the Carolinas. And Tony was the reason, I want to thank him because he was the reason why I was able to get in touch with you guys and talk to Jason. And so Tony Hunter made all this happen, too. So I want to thank Tony and David Isley. And I also want to thank you guys over there at WLW, man. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And anytime that I can come back and help you guys or anything y'all need me to do, you just let me know. And I want to say to all the fans of WLW, y'all keep on supporting this organization because they're going to be the next big thing.
Oh, thank you, Teddy. We do appreciate that, pal.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, no problem, man. Thank you, guys, and y'all stay safe.
You too.
You too, sir.
How about that? Teddy Long, everybody. Holla, holla.
I get quiet. I want to listen to those guys because they impart so much.
Absolutely, and you got to keep your ears open. Before we get on out of here, we got to make sure. I want you guys to make sure to follow us on Facebook. All you got to do is find World League Wrestling. We're there. On Twitter, World League Wrestling, or World League WLW. On YouTube, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the WLW channel, and subscribe to our streaming services, www.worldleaguewrestlingtv.com. For only $4.99 a month, you can see each episode of World League Wrestling in its entirety without commercial break. Make sure to visit online to the home of Harley Race and the World League Wrestling at www.harleyrace.com to see all the upcoming event schedules, new items in the WLW shop. We don't have really any events right at this time to come up because of everything. We're unsure yet as to when we can restart, but when we do, make sure, if you would, in the notes in there, I'd like to know personally, I'd like to know how you feel about us getting back to the arena and having more shows. Are you comfortable with coming to the shows? Are you planning on waiting a month or a couple of weeks? Or what? How do you feel as fans? Please let us know, because we want to make sure we do everything right by you, because that's what we do here at World League Wrestling. Next week here on Amplify, our guest will be the Beer City Bruiser.
Ooh, now that should be fun.
That's going to be a fun one. I've watched him on ROH. Talented, great guy, and also he's a Harley guy.
That's right. He's a graduate of the Race Wrestling Academy.
Absolutely, and we look forward to that. Go to also, I want everybody to know that you can go to Patreon, where we have set up a Patreon account there for World League Wrestling. There is 2 tiers there, a $3 and a $5 tier to support World League Wrestling. And our YouTube account, of course. I don't know what else to say, but other than we will be here again next Sunday, 4 o'clock. Myself and Martin Kadich.
That's right.
And word has it we may add another co-host.
Wonder who that could be.
I don't know. I'm not even going to say. I think we'll make it a surprise.
You don't know, but you're not going to say.
I
like that.
I do know, but I'm not going to say.
That's. I like that though.
I'm going to hold on to
suspense.
I'm going to keep it right here abreast. I'm not letting it out.
That's right.
So, that being said, thanks everybody for watching and listening to us here on this podcast. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Jim Chineri Ford and Chevrolet, Impact Digital Designs, Traveling East Productions, and of course,
CT Harrison Business Solutions too.
World League Wrestling for allowing us to be on this show and get this going for everybody.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, folks.
Any last words? Nothing?
Just thanks for tuning in.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on the other end of it. I'm a little more comfortable now.
Are you? Okay. All right. I want to say thank you to everybody again from the bottom of our hearts, and we will see you next week right here on WLW Amplify.